All right, thanks for joining everyone. Stefan Hartmann, IronDPC.com, here with my mom, Lynne Hartmann. She's going to talk to us today about unschooling. Lynne, can you give a brief introduction about yourself, your background, maybe your degrees that you have, what qualifications you may have to school children?
Well, first I wanted to say thanks for having me on, and I really am excited about what you're doing with your primary care. I love freedom of medical choice. Let's see, my background. I went to private schools back when they were very expensive, back in the 70s. They're very inexpensive, back in the 70s, back in Oklahoma. And then I went to Tulane. I was a National Merit Scholar, and I got 2 degrees from Tulane. So when I had my own kids, by that time I was really interested in health food and being alternative. I gave birth naturally, and was into communities who were interested in that and in nursing children. Oh, and also attachment parenting, where you hold the children as much as you can while they're little. So when it came to schooling, I was ready to do something different if need be. And after you were in kindergarten, the school didn't make any sense to me. So we tried unschooling, and I loved that lifestyle.
Okay.
Unschooling is where instead of using a curriculum that you purchase, like a lot of homeschoolers do, and the child has a daily grind, you set goals and you try to reach them. Although I do know some unschoolers who absolutely set no goals and just have the kids do what they feel. I liked the idea of unschooling to achieve maximum efficiency and maximum health.
Okay, so there's a couple of different types of unschooling.
Right.
Now, I was going to ask you what sort of qualifications you may have, because a lot of parents feel maybe they're inadequate to teach their children. Can you give like a kind of a background on that?
Well, I was going to jump to that at the end, but
Okay.
I can discuss that right now. Feeling inadequate. Okay. Well, when you put your child in first grade, you'll notice that they have all the letters up on the wall. And the teacher will tell you the goal of first grade of 9 months is being able to recognize the letters. Now, this is a colossal waste of time, in my opinion. If a child is interested in reading his own native language, you could have him sing The Wheels on the Bus while looking at the letters and just cover that a couple days, and soon he'll be doing that. If the child is not interested in the letters at all, learn something else. Learn something verbally. Have the child watch how things are made on YouTube and then discuss it. How is toothpaste made?
Okay, interesting.
Right.
All right, and you wanted to get into some of the health aspects of unschooling and why it's better for the child's health. So we'll start with circadian rhythm.
Yes. Now, I mean, if parents need to send their kids to school, I am totally behind that. Each parent has to decide what is best for their own kids, and they love their kids, so they make the choice. But if you are thinking about homeschooling or unschooling, I believe there could be some health benefits. For example, science has proven that the best time of the day to concentrate is the morning because of the rising circadian rhythm. And the worst time of the day to concentrate and learn would be the evening, as your body is trying to relax, look at candles, and simmer down for the night's sleep. So if a child is preparing to go to school, got to look great, he's got to actually drive to school, has to deal with the school bureaucracy, and must socialize. He is there to socialize with the other children. The best parts of the circadian rhythm are not being used. And we know this is a fact because the schools expect the child to actually learn things in the evening. That's called homework. And we never did homework. The actual concentration and learning happened in the morning. I mean, if you say that homework is something that is done after dinner, we never did that.
Yeah. And the second most part of learning is REM sleep, getting a good night's sleep.
That is correct. Science has proven if you want to create a long-term memory, then you need excellent REM sleep during the night. Adults know that alcohol interferes with REM sleep, and so they don't remember things as well the next day. So if your child didn't sleep well for some reason, you would still send him to school in the morning, because if not, he would get in trouble, and he simply won't remember as well what he learned the day before as if you could give him a little extra sleep. So if your goal is actually remembering what they learned the day before, making sure they sleep well is important, which brings us into the afternoon. Would be for the sports and the exercise to improve the health and help prepare for that good night's sleep, so that what was learned in the morning is still in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to bring up learning languages, because that was a pretty important part of my childhood.
Yeah, I think this also just speaks to the fun of homeschooling and efficiency. Here in Florida, and I think it's the same in a lot of states, they suggest a child or a young adult learn a foreign language in high school. And that is about the worst time to start learning a foreign language, and one can see the results. Not a lot of learning goes on. If you feel that it is important for your child to learn a foreign language and you would like it done easily, you want it done when they are little as possible. If you can appoint any relative who speaks any foreign language to be the one to speak with the child only in that language and to play with them, or have a babysitter who does that, that's going to be really easy, because that's just the way the brain is made. You can learn foreign languages later, but it's a lot more work.
I can attest to that. I didn't really formally study Italian.
That's true.
Really?
Stefan learned Italian from the other children in Italy.
Yeah.
And then Stefan got an excellent score on the AP Italian that he took at a high school in Milan. And now Stefan can watch comedies in Italian and completely understand it, even though they're using slang and a southern accent, because that's how he learned it.
It's just how I learned Italian by trading Pokemon cards in the back of judo class after class had finished. That's basically how I learned Italian. And my brain was a sponge, because I was 7, 8 years old, 9 years.
Yeah.
I was in Italy from about age 7 to age 12. So my brain was a sponge and absorbed it.
Yeah.
Let's get into the food part, because nutrition is a fundamental part of Iron DPC.
Okay, yeah. A major reason why I homeschooled is that we were into health food. And even though my ideas of health food have changed a lot, I'm following a lot of what Stefan does now. Back then, I was just into whole foods and low sugar. School is not going to be supportive of you on that. I mean, you may occasionally want to have your child celebrate by eating fun foods. I've heard the term because they're highly palatable, but school focuses on that a lot. Belle has friends who have told her at the beginning of school they always have a huge fructose party, and at the end of school they have a huge fructose party, and anytime anybody has a birthday, the parents bring in the fructose, and Valentine's Day, a lot of fructose. And I don't think high carb, I think the science has proven that the high carb does not help with learning.
No.
So once again, if you want the child to eat a healthier diet, man, school is going to get in the way.
Mm. And let's talk about the fun part of learning.
Yes. This was really a big thing for me. I remember back in grade school, for example, in 3rd grade, they had us read that short story, The Lottery, which is about cruel villagers randomly stoning one of the other villagers. That's a sad story, and it makes you really not want to read. The idea of having children read those stories is to make them humanistic. I think of humanism, that they feel sorry for other humans and then have more empathy. I remember, what else? I remember reading in 2nd grade, To Build a Fire. That is a story about a man trying to kill his dog so that he doesn't freeze to death, and then he froze to death. I mean, you're a kid reading that. It's just sad, and you don't want to read Animal Farm. So sad. So as a unschooling mom, you can encourage the child to read things that are interesting, informative, maybe even fun, because your goal, and we're going to discuss goals later, is to have somebody who likes to read and can absorb what they're reading because they enjoy it. It grows a huge vocabulary, which then makes it easier to read. Other fun. We used to attend events, and we would do math in the car because it would save time, and so the child doesn't feel oppressed that there's just too much learning. I mean, I would tell the kids, look, it's morning, we're going to this event,
Tennis event, probably.
Tennis event, I'll start with 6 times 7, and it was oral, and we did it. And
I remember those math drives. I was like, oh no math.
I said, well, then we have to, I don't know if we can go to the event. So they agreed, and it was a give and take. We got it done, and then it was fun that way.
Yeah. Business and entrepreneurship.
Yeah, if you are more efficient getting the learning done in the morning, it is helpful if in the afternoon, in addition to sports, that you have the child run a little business. It doesn't have to be big. That teaches a lot, from making a flyer to collecting money, to doing the math on the money, to working with people in a real life situation. I remember the first thing we did, we were going to move to Italy, so we lived in this apartment complex, and people kept leaving these beautiful cardboard boxes by the dumpsters. So I had the boys carry them into the garage, and then I found a man who would buy them, and usually he wouldn't pay anything, but he wanted to spoil the boys, and he paid them well for the boxes. And I don't know how much the boys learned from that, but it was fun.
I remember that.
You remember that? And
yeah.
It was one of many little businesses we had. Oh, also in the apartment complex, the boys ran a concierge trash business, so that the older people who didn't want to or couldn't take out their trash would just leave it by the door.
Yeah.
Things like that.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Let's see. Oh, did we run an English class for Italian kids in Italy?
Yeah. That didn't work out too well because Italian boys are wild.
Yeah, I remember that. That didn't work too well.
We tried. We did it for a while.
Trying to get Italian kids to learn English is like pulling teeth.
Yeah. That was fun though.
Yeah.
A lot of wrestling went on instead of English learning.
Yeah. All right, goals then. Goals for the unschooler.
Okay, so this is where it also the goals get back into the fun. I remember asking the boys, what do you want to do when you grow up? And both were interested in medicine. And so I said, well, that's college. And so in order to take free college classes in high school, here in Florida, and I think in a lot of states, you need to pass the PERT. And the PERT test tests if you can read and understand some reading, some basic grammar, and some algebra. And then you can take college classes for free. So that we've covered the reading. Have the child enjoy the reading. I mean, if you're reading Moby Dick, the child doesn't have to read the chapter that's all about types of whales, but you could go to YouTube and look up a few types of whales and memorize the names. I mean, you can make it more fun. The grammar. I mean, verb, subject, agreement, comma rules. These have to be learned at some point. There are wonderful things on YouTube teaching it. Any other homeschool mom, they will line up to help you out if you reach out, or books on it, or you may just know it yourself. Most people get their whole way through high school just feeling where the commas go. They know it because it's their native language, and then they stick in a comma where they think it belongs. That's not the same as actually knowing the rules. So if you, as the homeschooling or unschooling mom, actually cover those rules, they're in a book called Elements of Style by Strunk and White. Your child would be able to grade other people's papers then.
Yep. Very helpful.
Yeah, so the goals. So what I did, what I noticed as time went on, and my second child was in college, Matthias, he had 5 classes to take, and he was on he was number 1 on a Division II tennis team, and time was just at a at a premium, he just did not have a lot of time. So I thought being able to memorize things well and quickly is certainly going to help with college if that's your goal. And if you want to be an electrician, there's lots to memorize in that too. So with Belle, after I taught her she's 5 years old, after teaching her how to do the basics of reading, and she liked to get the little kids' books from the library.
I mean, she was reading Harry Potter all the time.
Yeah, that was probably like at age 6 or 7.
Yeah, she could not be found without a Harry Potter book.
Yeah, she really liked books. So after the basic reading was done, I decided to do a project where I would teach her to be a great memorizer. Because that's never covered in school. They just ask you to memorize things, but they never tell you how to do it. So I saw this video of a little girl on YouTube who was singing the periodic table. And she got 6 million views. And I thought, well, that's kind of useless, because if you want to know that what 100 is, fermium, you'd have to sing up to fermium. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium. It's like, nah, that would take too long. So I came up with a system to memorize the periodic table, the 12 cranial nerves, and the presidents in any order. And then, once Bella could do it, we didn't work that hard on it, like an hour a day. I mean, she's a little kid. We went around and had people test her, and we filmed it.
Yeah.
And I posted that on YouTube, and it's got about 20 views. Nobody cares. But I think it was the most important thing we ever did. And I posted it because I thought, well, I could keep working on the system. It was a little weak in spots, and make it so that anybody could work on it, or I could teach it to other people with cartoons and pictures. And
is it still on YouTube?
Yeah.
I'll link it in the description then.
I have no idea why that didn't cotton on, and the girls singing the song.
It's just the YouTube algorithms, so you just need to understand those. I don't really understand them that well either.
Yeah.
All right. Memorizing the pie. You managed to. How far did you guys go out on pie?
Oh, pie. I was thinking of pie as an example to show you. Even without my system, there's so much online to show you how to memorize things that it's really inspiring for the kids. So you want to do pi to 10 digits. That's impressive, right? I go 3.14. I think that's correct.
3.14, is that an A? 3.14?
Oh yeah, A is actually 1. So you can find that online, how to do that. That's the phrase, what is that phrase? May I have a large container of coffee ready for today? And the letters correspond with the number. It's so fun.
Yeah.
And
that's memorizing things like that. That's
Yeah,
very important. That's how I did a lot of PA school. I should probably do a video on that and how to memorize things for PA school. But yeah, it was a lot of that, using things that are kind of like not related at all and like tying it in somehow.
yeah, and making it in a fun way so that memorizing doesn't seem stressful. That way you want to do it more.
Okay, now the big question, but how are your kids going to be socialized?
Yeah, socialization. So friends are incredibly important to me. I've always wanted the children to speak well and to be friends to friends, so that they develop friends, and to be involved in sports and clubs. My experience with both attending Tulane and going to 12 years of private school is that friends are made in the clubs and sports after school. You're supposed to be learning in school, and there really aren't. I mean, you can see other people in school. You can see the back of their heads while you're watching the teacher. I have seen in my own experience that if the learning is done more efficiently, you'll have more time for friends and socializing, and it is very helpful to develop some skills, like to become a good tennis player, for example, because you will have friends through that skill.
That's true. Tennis became like a universal language wherever we went. Tennis was like a common language. You could immediately, wherever you went, doesn't matter where. Gallerate, Italy, Berlin, Germany, Florida, Melbourne, tennis was an easy way to get introduced to people.
Yes. And to actually have friends through the class, you would have to be like a tutor for the other kids, and they would want to come to you to learn the subject. I mean,
you mean in like
if you
education?
If you were in a bricks and mortar school and
okay.
you wanted friends through the actual classroom, the school is not supposed to be for socializing. It's supposed to be for learning.
All right. Now, how about for moms who, didn't go to Tulane University, don't have an MBA like you do? Like, they might feel a bit inadequate. How do they go about teaching?
I have heard that. Wow, we have the internet nowadays. For the boys back in the day, I had to write out math worksheets because there wasn't much on the internet. But nowadays, like, you can purchase the IXL software. I think it's $5 a month, and you can do it completely paperless. The entire grade school curriculum is on one page, and you click, and then they give you examples, endless worksheets on the different subjects. So what I told Belle was, if it's really easy, get the score up to above 50. And you won't ever look at it again. If it's challenging, keep it underneath 50, and then you'll know to look back at it after a week.
And this is the IXL online math software?
Mm-hmm, yeah. So that way it's paperless. Now say that your child has trouble with telling time. That's a second grade subject. So yeah, the idea that 1:45 is 15 till 2 p.m., you might want to skip that. Because and just come back to it later, because actually a second grader would probably find it easier to understand that if I have an X and I have another X, how many X's have I got? 2X. So you could go do a little algebra instead and come back to the time telling. So the curriculum is there. You can see what's difficult, and you could go watch a YouTube video on it. You could reach out to another homeschooling mom if you needed help. There's so much help online.
The time thing was interesting. I don't really remember learning that because we used military time back in Italy. It was like, tennis class is at 1700, and like you just kind of learned that. I don't know how I really learned that.
Well, I think what we did was we covered it, let it go, and then we came back and covered it, so it didn't end up seeming like a really stressful thing to you. Mm-hmm. You just remember after a while knowing it. Okay. If you need help with more difficult subjects, once again, there's tutors. The online stuff is amazing. I know for sure that when it comes to calculus, that most people watch Patrick JMT videos. He is a wonderful explainer, and he makes videos on those. And if you look at the videos, the people who make the content say, "You're how I learned the calculus." So the internet exists. And the other thing is, you can be really flexible as a homeschooling mom. You can switch and put your kids back in school. At least here in Florida, the flexibility is yours. You can try things out.
Yeah, and plus there's a good network of homeschool moms here, like, because you were talking about like the co-op type of school that you're doing now. It's right. Where you get other moms to kind of help with other subjects.
Yes, if here in Brevard, there are a couple organizations. You go on Facebook and find the Brevard homeschoolers. Incredibly helpful women. Whatever your question is, they will answer it. If you'd like to start a group that's learning something, somebody will be down for that, or they'll offer to teach it. And they plan so many activities that you would be running around all day if you took advantage of all of them. So there's a lot of resources out there.
Yeah. You mentioned choice here.
Choice, yeah. Here in Florida, it's just the greatest place in the world to homeschool. We have complete choice. You can, one of the kids in my homeschooling co-op, he takes some classes in the afternoon at Melbourne High School. You can do all the sports at the high school, as long as they have a spot for you on the team, but that's the same for anybody at the school. You can take free classes at the community college. So what my kids did was they did the tennis team, and I think Belle's also like on the chemistry club at Melbourne High School, but we did all the classes at Eastern Florida State College. Belle took a class at Florida Tech too. because she'd like to attend there, and that class isn't offered at Eastern Florida. So a lot of flexibility. Florida's
Yep.
the best.
It is the best, and you somehow managed to do it in Italy and Germany, where in Italy no one knew what homeschooling was, and then in Germany it was actually illegal.
Yeah,
But you managed to do it anyway.
yeah.
That's a long story. Maybe I'll make a video on that.
Parents love their kids and should be the ones to decide how the kids are educated.
Yeah. Well, we've kind of gone over everything that we wanted to cover here.
I get.
So I think we'll cut this video off.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of other things we can talk about, but I just wanted to cover the basics.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Stefan.
End it here.